Here we go again. DeathBattle recently released the Sephiroth vs. Virgil DeathBattle. Final Fantasy vs. Devil May Cry. Now, full disclosure, not as familiar with Sephiroth as I am with Virgil. I only recently started getting into the Final Fantasy games and haven't gotten to the point where they start talking about Cloud Strife and Sephiroth and the events that most people normally associate with Final Fantasy. I'm working on the first games and then kind of building up to that point. I am more familiar with Virgil, though. Have played the first Devil May Cry, not all the way through. Didn't really have the time to do that before started moving around. But I'm familiar with Virgil. I've seen the game playthroughs of the Devil May Cry games. I've seen them. I've seen this character, and I have to say, I really like him. Now, in the last reaction video, you might remember that I was talking about how me and Reaper had an idea for using Virgil in one of our battles. We weren't planning on putting him against Sephiroth. We were still trying to find an opponent for Sephiroth. Reaper is more familiar with Final Fantasy, so he was kind of filling me in on information about this character. I wasn't really familiar with him. But as it stands right now, based solely on what Reaper has filled me in on in regards to this character, I'm leaning more towards Sephiroth simply because he seems almost stupidly overpowered. Like how DeathBattle was describing Superman as being ridiculously OP, that's Sephiroth in Final Fantasy. Sephiroth is like evil Superman in Final Fantasy. But in any case, I'm going to go ahead and stop talking. I'm going to throw these headphones on. Oh, and if I forget to say this at the end of the video, feel free and please like and subscribe. Send any comments for future videos that you want. Check out the recently released Resident Evil The Final Chapter review. It's not quite a rage rant as it was with the first 5 videos that I did. With the first 5 movies, the rage rant on those ones. It's not quite like that, but it is very much a kind of pointing out what went wrong in that movie. But without further ado, let me put these on. And
the great philosopher Plato once said, "The measure of a man is what he does with power."
I've kind of studied these kind of ethic guys in the past.
Sephiroth,
I'm taking an ethics class, so I'm a little more familiar with these philosophers than I would normally be. I love his trench coat, though. I love Virgil's
trench coat. It's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
3D.
Through the millennia, legends were passed of a source of unlimited energy, the Promised Land. Unfortunately, all hope of finding this sacred ground had been lost, until the Shinra Electric Power Company excavated the remains of a being believed to hail from the very land they
Electric
sought.
power.
They called this weird naked purple lady Genova and thought that if they could bring her back to life, she could help them find the Promised Land. But apparently, they just didn't have any Phoenix Downs.
If they couldn't resurrect a being who could lead them to the Promised Land, Shinra decided
get
they
that
would
reference.
simply create their own.
Phoenix
After many
Downs.
experiments infusing Genova's cells with those of a human's, they finally found their savior. His name was Sephiroth.
He doesn't look like a savior right now. He does not look like a savior with a burning
With
background.
hair like that, it's no wonder he was created in a lab. Look at how majestic that mane is.
According to Final Fantasy lore, Sephiroth has to use an entire bottle of shampoo and conditioner every single time he bathes.
Why do you
How do you know that?
Did you join his fan club or something?
For research. But Shinra wasn't interested in Sephiroth for his hair. Instead, he was an essential part of their soldier program.
Wait, this electric company has their own private military? I'd hate to miss a payment with those guys. Especially if they
know, right?
Seth after me. I mean, look at the
Oh, yeah.
ridiculously long sword he keeps with him. That's his Masamune. This 7
Yeah,
foot
eat your heart out, Edison.
blade is a lot like the no-dachi swords they used back in feudal Japan. But instead
Yeah,
of
the Edison
something
Company
long
can
with
come and
2
talk to me
hands
when they
like
have a
those,
private military.
Sephiroth only needs 1.
Even that speaks nothing of his effectiveness as a warrior.
Yeah, you know when people spread legends of someone, they usually make him out to be even better than he really is? It's the total opposite with Sephiroth.
With his superhuman
Really?
speed, strength, and durability, Sephiroth was instrumental in ensuring Shinra's victory in the Wutai War, conquering the last free nation on the planet. He returned home a legend.
But all those warm, fuzzy feelings of victory didn't last long. While on a mission to the town of Nibelheim, Sephiroth found a bunch of books on the Genova project. That's when he discovered he was a secret science project the whole time.
The truth crushed Sephiroth and drove him mad. In a rage, he annihilated Nibelheim, but was stopped by a mercenary named Cloud Strife. Sephiroth was impaled by the Buster Sword and fell to his death.
Oh, well, that's disappointing. Which is what I would have said if Sephiroth hadn't dropped into a hole in the ground that led him to the giant Windows screensaver called the Life Stream.
The Life Stream is a buried river of energy which basically maintains life across the planet. Normally, merging with the Life Stream is the equivalent of entering the afterlife, but not for Sephiroth.
And this is where things get weird, so buckle up. Still conscious, Sephiroth's essence floated through the life stream for years until he absorbed enough energy to rebuild his body. With the energy of the life stream, he could control other beings with Genova's cells.
Including the corpse of Genova, who he manipulated like a puppet and disguised as himself.
Oh, what the hell? That's his mom? Who would do that to their own mom? I mean, I know she's a genocidal alien monster, but come on! Probably makes a good breakfast.
But Sephiroth's descent into the life stream offered him even more. It transformed him from a mere super soldier into the most dangerous being on the planet. He's strong enough to throw a man hundreds of feet skyward, move at supersonic speeds, and withstand brutal stab wounds through vital organs.
He's got illusion powers that can trick people by creating an entirely fake scenario. He can lift people with his mind, including himself, and then he can just fly. That's how it works, right?
Additionally, Sephiroth can cast magic thanks to his on-hand materia. Materia is crystallized life energy which grants different powers according to the type of materia used.
This lets Sephi attack with fire, lightning, ice, and earth-based magic. He can block attacks with barrier and reflect, and heal himself with cure and regen. And ever since jumping into the life stream, he's had unlimited access to his magical powers.
With his new godlike abilities, Sephiroth began a plan to stop mankind from drying up the planet's life force.
That doesn't sound so scary. Does that mean he's
I know,
an
right?
environmentalist, or...
But to do
Does
this, he decided to use black materia to summon a giant meteor to destroy the planet and absorb all of its life energy for himself.
So like an opposite environmentalist. A planet vampire. I mean, we're talking about
Pretty
a guy
much.
who kicked a dude through solid concrete, murdered the crap out of a 30-foot serpent with a spike through the face,
Damn.
and tanked a dragon's flamethrower attack without even getting a teensy bit hurt.
A particularly impressive feat considering this attack was capable of one-shotting fellow soldier Zack Fair.
Wiz, you may need to up your prescription, because that's definitely Cloud.
No, Cloud was just recalling false memories there. It was really Zack. However, it was Cloud who impaled Sephiroth pre-livestream with the Buster Sword.
And holy God, is it huge! It's like 2 feet wide! You'd think a stab from that thing would just cut him in half, but Sep just kind of shook it off.
And in his rematch with Cloud, he blocked an attack strong enough to crater the metal around him. Considering the diameter of the crater, the surface area of Sephiroth's feet, and assuming the most likely steel composition, I estimate this attack to equal nearly 1,600 tons of force.
Sephiroth can use that wicked sword to stab and lift wannabe heroes by their ribcage, slice through skyscrapers, and shoot energy beams that can shred these huge Mako cannons. And from the life stream, Sephi figured out he could create new bodies or even take on other forms.
These forms greatly resemble certain creatures found in Christian and Jewish mythology.
He certainly looks the part when he goes into his ultimate form.
Regardless, Sephiroth does possess a single black wing, a blatant symbol of his fall from grace.
So basically Final Fantasy does everything it can to not be subtle. Just like Sephiroth's most devastating attack, Supernova, which decimates an entire solar system. Wait, if Seph is that powerful, how does anyone ever beat him?
Don't get the wrong idea here. There's a lot of debate over how supernova actually works, but I think it's pretty clear that Sephiroth isn't creating the explosion himself. Rather, he's transporting his foes to a specific point in time within an alternate dimension.
Careful, Wiz, don't sell him short.
Just look at it. When he uses the attack, reality literally crumbles away like glass. This is identical to the animation for certain summoned creatures. According to the official Crisis Core Complete Guide, summons draw their targets into their own space in order to attack, and this is no different. In the Dissidia fighting games, Sephiroth goes for the civil approach and opens a dimensional hole to the explosion. The attack is even described as sending destruction even into other dimensions. And if he could summon planet-busting meteors at will, why did he go through so much trouble to get the Black Materia, which literally summons meteors?
That would explain why the supernova doesn't hurt him. He's not really there, just using those illusion powers of his. With all these powers, I can't believe Cloud and friends were able to take him down.
He's not invincible, but he's damn powerful. Ever persistent, Sephiroth departed with a final, chilling promise.
I will never be a memory.
Why does he sound
Yeah,
so bored?
That sounds chilling, and when you're a super powerful bad guy, you always sound kind of
great
bored.
mutiny transpired in the underworld. The demon warrior Sparta rebelled against his evil master, Mundus. To protect the world, Sparta did his best to seal the connection between Hell and Earth.
But then Sparta got lonely, or maybe it was just a sausage fest in there. Either way, he snuck out of Hell long enough to knock up this chick named Eva, and she popped out a
Leave it to
couple of
Boomstick.
awesome demon slayers. Nice choice.
You may remember the younger of the two, Dante.
Oh yeah, he fought that witch chick with the hair.
But the eldest, and potentially deadliest brother was the one and only Virgil.
Virgil and Dante
Such
were
grace.
rivals from birth. Dante was a goofball. Virgil was serious. Dante hated his being a demon, and Virgil loved it. It's that classic odd couple scenario.
But then one fateful day, in an act of vengeance against the late Sparta, a group of rogue demons separated the two brothers and killed their mother. Virgil was believed to be dead. But in reality, Virgil survived and set out on his own path to seek his father's immense power for himself.
And he's 100% equipped to be a butt-kicking demon slayer just like his pops. As a half-demon, Virgil can jump several times his own height, move at supersonic speeds, and heal himself quickly, kind of like that Wolverine guy. He can tough out getting stabbed through the lungs, intestines, the heart.
Yeah,
Bloody
not that
parts
game.
I'm pretty sure most people need.
Not if my experiment has anything to say about it.
You say something, Wiz?
I said
What?
not if Virgil's abilities have anything to say about it.
Well, sadly, for any human demon or human demon who gets in his way, Virgil also happens to carry some extra deadly weapons on hand, including a spiffy katana called Tomato.
Yamato.
Yamato.
It's said that this sword can cut through anything, even dimensions, and probably tomatoes. Actually, Yamato is the exact thing Sparta used to seal Hell from Earth in the first place.
Virgil's sword-fighting prowess draws from his Dark Slayer fighting style, which emphasizes teleportation, lightning-quick movements, and even quicker slashes straight from the sheath. This technique is directly influenced by Iai Jutsu, the real-life Japanese art of the quick draw. And thanks to Virgil's demonic powers, he can attack so fast the blade seems invisible.
Yeah, the only thing better than fighting with one sword is fighting with 8. With Virgil's ghostly summoned swords, he can turn himself into a living Beyblade, fire them like a machine gun, or make it rain!
Blades may be Virgil's bread and butter, but if he needs to focus on brute strength, he switches to Beowulf.
He can charge up, blink of an
Yeah, I
eye
remember that.
punches and kicks that hit like a cement truck made of lead and KO some of the toughest demons.
Basically,
in
it's like the
just a
Gilgamesh
few hits.
gauntlets
And
that
hey, looks like he
Dante
likes
has.
Street Fighter.
There's one more trick up Virgil's sleeve. Thanks to his demon blood, he can access a form known as Devil Trigger. And this move amplifies everything.
His strength, speed, and healing all get a huge boost, making him several times deadlier than before. Plus, he just looks badass.
In his quest to become
He
as
does.
powerful as his father, Virgil's abilities skyrocketed. He's taken down dozens of demons in the blink of an eye, and escaped an illusion from the sorcerer Arkham, which makes normal people go crazy.
But if anything's gonna show off what a son of Sparta can really do, it's pitting him against his bro. Sure, Virgil can easily avoid Dante's bullets, but why dodge them when you can spin your sword, line them all up, and fire them back? Like a boss.
In the same battle, they briefly created a
Impressive.
12-foot diameter open
I didn't see
space
that
in
part.
a heavy rainstorm with nothing but their sword swings. On average, storms can fill a cubic foot space with
Yeah, I remember
as many as
this little
30
factoid.
raindrops. So, Virgil and Dante must have destroyed 108,000 raindrops in less than a second.
If Virgil can swing his sword that fast, I bet he'd make a killing mowing lawns, or chopping meat at the deli, or giving haircuts, or doing that thing where he chops bad guys to pieces so fast they don't even realize they're dead yet. Like when he fought Beowulf. The monster, not the weapon. And then he punched him so hard, he flew 55 feet up and hit the ceiling.
When comparing Beowulf's size to Virgil, he appears to be as large as an elephant. Given what's available, this seems like our best measure of Virgil's strength, but there is one issue. The Devil May Cry series makes frequent use of slow motion to depict the absurdity of these characters, and this could be a similar case.
So let's look at another slow-mo feat, the rainstorm fight.
At one point, the rain freezes in place for about 2.5 seconds, as Virgil and Dante keep moving, indicating a 14,500% speed increase in real time. Applying the same degree to the Beowulf punch gives us an acceleration speed of about 4,882 feet per second. With that in mind, we can apply our previous data to deduce the maximum height sans ceiling, and determine Virgil's striking strength to be nearly 720 million newtons of force.
That's a lot.
It matches Virgil's incredible toughness, too.
We already mentioned his super healing factor, but it's even more overpowered than you think. Virgil once got completely cut in half, but healed so fast that it's impossible to even notice.
And his regeneration ability can be worn down.
Yeah, that's how this weird jester guy beat him.
But it takes a lot to pull off, and Virgil can always just use Yamato to hop through dimensions to get away if he wants.
Sadly, Virgil never got to rule the demon realm like he wanted.
Instead, the Demon King Mundus permanently transformed Virgil into his puppet, irreversibly manipulating his mind in the process.
And then Dante kind of, exploded him. But 1 or 2 losses against someone who's basically goddamn Satan hardly makes him a weakling.
Hell and Earth trembles before the power of Virgil.
It'll be fun to fight with the prince.
Yeah, I didn't know that transformation was irreversible. That's kind of sad, though. Virgil's an awesome character.
Do.
All right, the combatants are set. Let's end this debate once and for all.
But before we get to the bloody slicing and dicing, pick up some Blue Apron and slice and dice in your kitchen.
And add. Okay, so, some of you might have noticed about my reactions, I'm very quiet. I'm typically just like this, watching, learning, and kind of figuring this stuff out. That's my talkative version. What you've been hearing is me being talkative. Usually, if I'm just watching it for myself, I'm not talking at all. I'm just watching, I'm learning, I'm figuring out, and I'm predicting. Up until these reactions, I wouldn't talk during the reactions unless I felt a joke deserved to be said. And I've said it before, this is the problem with other reaction channels. They talk over parts that they should be listening to, and then when the part that they talked over comes into play, they're just like, how are they doing that? I didn't hear anything about that. It's because you were fucking talking. I get it. We're here to see your reaction, but be quiet. Be quiet when they're actually giving information. But that's a completely side rant. I'm still leaning towards Sephiroth. Virgil's impressive, but Sephiroth is just like stupidly impressive. And ad is over.
You are powerful. I can see it.
Egos clashing. Egos clashing here.
Your despair.
Now, I honestly do think that regeneration will come into play here, but even more so, Sephiroth with the Magicka has a significant advantage. He seems to be better equipped for this kind of stuff. Especially with stuff like that shield just now. And I also do think that supernova attack. I think that Virgil is going to take some pretty bad damage. I think that's really where Virgil's healing factor is going to start getting overwhelmed.
Okay, you're strong. But are you fast enough? Don't move.
Yeah, Virgil's already taken a small bit of damage.
Can't be helped.
They're fake.
Yeah.
Stop wasting my time.
Like I said, when you're a super powerful bad guy, a bored tone is kind of how you talk.
You're going down.
What was that, though? You don't have hair in this form. Yeah, I'm still leaning towards Sephiroth in this. I like Virgil more, I'm more familiar with him, and he's undoubtedly my favorite out of these two combatants. Oh boy.
What is that?
Supernova. I
Those
saw it
eyes.
pierce the fabric of our dimension, so I cast an illusion to disguise this. Witness oblivion.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he's taking some damage.
I'm free. So you are.
Ouch!
KO!
Yeah, I thought so.
Extra crispy.
These two were extremely powerful swordsmen, but Sephiroth's cunning and stronger abilities led to his victory.
Wait a minute, I thought the lore said Virgil's sword could cut through anything. Why didn't it cut through Sephiroth's sword?
Yamato was a unique weapon, but its legend clearly exaggerated. On multiple occasions, it's clashed with Dante's blade and even a common rocket launcher without cutting through either, and sometimes
Good
requires
point.
an exuberant amount of force to cut through tougher material. But let's discuss the real facts.
Like strength. So Virgil with Beowulf could do 720 million newtons, right? But there aren't a lot of good Sephi strength feats to compare.
First, let's compare Sephiroth to a fellow first-class member of the soldier fighting force, who had also been experimented on with Genova cells, Zack Fair.
Remember him? He's the Knot Cloud guy who fought that dragon.
At his peak, Zack could cut through a large metal door with one swing, seemingly with most of his strength. Given the size and width of the door, this feat's sheer strength comes out to 980 million newtons.
And Seth was way stronger than Zack. In fact, if we look at their strength stats when they fought that dragon, Sephiroth was 3.5 times stronger than Zack.
Putting Sephiroth's strength output at over 3 billion newtons. That's almost as much force as 30 Hiroshima bombs.
Strength isn't everything, though. Virgil was technically faster than Sephi, but Sephiroth has handled people of similar speeds before. Plus, Sephiroth could survive plenty of hits because his healing power is broken.
The capabilities of Virgil's healing factor was nearly unprecedented, but it had its limits. In contrast, Sephiroth's healing abilities were only limited by his pool of magic, which was unlimited.
Well, he also had to take some time to cast each healing spell, but that's why he distracted Virgil with his illusions.
We know Virgil was susceptible to illusionary and mental attacks, as it's happened to him multiple times and even led to his in-canon demise.
And Sephiroth's illusions could hide his ultimate technique. Yeah, Virgil's healing was pretty awesome, but it was never gonna hold up under an exploding sun to the face.
Virgil put up a good fight, but he couldn't match Sephiroth's superior strength, magic, and techniques.
Looks like this devil's cried for the last time.
The winner is Sephiroth.
Okay. Not even mad.
If you want to get the
I'm not even mad.
this episode of Death Battle, just click the link in
I'm
the
a little
description.
sad,
You can pick
though.
it up on iTunes.
Like I said, Virgil is my preferred character out of those two. Sephiroth, I'm a little less familiar with, like I said.
For Death Battle Season 4.
but-
We're excited to show you some awesome episodes next year in Season 5.
When's the next one coming? Let's see that real quick. What? February? You kidding? Okay. Let's take care of this real quick. Okay, let me take these off. It's getting annoying. Okay, so I've said it. I think I've said it at least once or twice in previous reaction videos. I'm never really mad at the verdict for very long. There have been a few times when, at the end of the battle itself, I'm just kind of like, okay, explain yourselves, ScrewAttack, explain yourselves. But I'm never really mad. They always back their verdicts up with good logic and excellent facts. And some other reaction channels don't like it when ScrewAttack is doing all the mathematics, like when it was calculating the force that Sephiroth took when he blocked that sword and created the crater underneath him. Some people don't like it when ScrewAttack does that. I love it, because that's the kind of thing that makes ScrewAttack's verdicts seem more credible. They're using actual science in order to figure out what these characters are capable of and what their limits are. So I love it when they do that. It always helps bring these overpowered beings into real world logic. And that's really where you want to try and do things when you're doing an examination like this, when you're doing an evaluation between two characters. But, like I said, I'm not mad. I'm a little sad because I like Virgil. He's an awesome character. He's freaking badass. But he just could not stand up to someone like Sephiroth. Very few, if anyone, could. Now, me and Reaper were trying to find an opponent for Sephiroth, but simply by how Reaper was selling this guy, I could not, for the life of me, come up with any opponent who would have actually been able to stand a decent chance against this guy. But yeah. I have to wait till February now. I have to go through the entirety of January without a death battle. That sucks. But in any case, check out the Resident Evil Final Chapter movie review. It might seem a little all over the place, but it does point out all the really major problems of the film. I'm working on some game playthroughs on my recently acquired Xbox One. If you have any games that you want to see my playthrough of, go ahead and suggest them in the comments below. I'm still working on The Witcher, but because of how that storyline is and just how all over the place it is, it's a little tricky to find worthwhile points to actually record. And this channel wants to focus more upon the versus matches than we do upon just gameplay videos. I'll be working on making some playlists with these other videos. But in the meantime, like and subscribe. Leave any comments for future battles down below. And check out any of the other videos that catch your eye. And send your well regards to Reaper in the hopes that his equipment stops giving him problems. Send your well wishes to him down in the comments. I'll pass them along to him when I next speak to him. But without further ado, this has been Alpha White Wolf, signing off. Keep howling, Wolfpack.